Good morning, Year 10, and welcome to your fourth English session, your third online lesson. Good morning, hello, hi, nice to see you. So get your revision cards ready. We're going to be doing the same thing we've done the past couple of sessions, looking at some revision on an inspector calls. So see if you can work out who this character is that's being described in these stage directions. So when this character speaks, they laugh complacently near the beginning of the play. When they speak to Eric, they speak sharply, sort of in a cross way. When they speak to the inspector, they are somewhat impatient and then they are angry. When they speak to Sheila, they speak sharply, but they're also shocked. When this person speaks to Mrs. Burling, this person speaks dubiously, meaning they're unsure, they're a bit doubtful. When they speak to the inspector a bit later on, they're thunderstruck. When they speak to Eric later on, they speak savagely. Now this person also speaks to Gerald and they speak eager. And then finally, the stage directions at the end of the play for this character are triumphantly and jovially. So again, by process of elimination, I'm sure you've worked out who it is. Who is this person who is complacent and angry and shocked? It is Mr. Burling, the biggest fat cat capitalist of them all. Okay, well done if you got that. Yay. If you didn't, why not? You should have definitely got that. So we're going to, again, like we've done previously, look at what these stage directions actually mean, what we can imply, or what is implied, what we can infer, what is implied about that specific character. So if we just take that first one, what does complacently imply about Burling and his day-to-day thoughts and actions? Now, if you're complacent about something, it means you're laid back, you don't really care, you know. So if Mr. Burling is laid back, does it mean he's got no worries? Does he have a nice easy life? Is he sort of not bothered? Kind of perhaps he thinks he's above the law, he doesn't need to, you know, take action that other people might need to take. Perhaps it tells us that in terms of his thoughts and actions, he doesn't really think about other people. Perhaps he only is bothered about himself and he's got a nice easy life, so he doesn't need to worry, does he? Okay, when he's talking to his little son, sharply is quite a negative stage direction to appear so early on in the play. Why do you think this stage direction is given at the beginning? Okay, so Priestley has decided that very early on, when we first see Mr. Burling and his son chatting, that Mr. Burling is going to speak sharply to his son. Why? Is he setting up the idea that they have a bad relationship? Is he setting up the idea that Mr. Burling wants to be in control? He is head of the household, he has to be in control, and his children need to do as they are told. Perhaps that's why Priestley's got that straight away. Okay, the next one we're looking at is when he is thunderstruck. Interesting adjective. What does thunderstruck actually mean? So if we think about the literal meaning of that, it's behaving as if you've been struck by the sound of thunder. So it's shocking, and thunder comes from nature, comes from the sky, comes from the heavens. It is something we are in awe of. So Mr. Burling is sort of shocked and in awe of the inspector. How is Burling feeling as the inspector begins to expose the weaknesses of this capitalist ideology that Mr. Burling holds so dear? I think he's a bit shocked, he's a bit surprised, and he's a bit taken aback by how powerful the inspector seems to be. And the inspector seems to be pulling apart everything that Mr. Burling believes in. So I think actually Mr. Burling is a little bit in awe, and we've spoken in class about this power struggle between the inspector, socialism, and Mr. Burling, capitalism. The whole way through this play, there's this tension. The two men, the two ideologies, are struggling for power. And of course, only one can win, and we know which one wins in the end, don't we? Okay, he speaks, after speaking sharply to Eric, he speaks savagely to them. If you're savage, you are fierce, violent, and uncontrolled. So acting savagely towards his son suggests what? How does it strengthen the picture that the inspector has already painted of Mr. Burling, or indeed Priestley has painted of Burling? Perhaps the inspector is Priestley, is his voice. Okay, so a father being fierce and violent and uncontrolled towards their son. Mr. Burling has kind of lost the plot at this point. He is losing control of his own sense of, normally he's quite logical and quite reserved and quite calm and in control. At this point, he's lost the ability to be in control of his emotions, and he is like attacking his son verbally, speaking savagely. So is Mr. Burling and capitalism. Is that the kind of civilised way to behave? Is that the right way to behave? Or is this the inspector and Priestley showing us actually this is not the correct way to behave? This is not someone taking the moral high ground. This is someone who is actually, when it comes down to it, quite a nasty piece of work. And then at the end, I love these stage directions at the end. Mr. Burling is triumphant, he's victorious, he's jovial, he's happy, he's joking again. He jumps so quickly from savage to triumphant. 1 minute he's shouting, attacking his son, and then when he realises the inspector wasn't a real police inspector and that he's off the hook, he's not going to get, hauled over the coals for this. He's got away scot-free, that's what he thinks. Suddenly everything's changed. What does that tell us about him? Does it tell us that he's a rational man who thinks things through? Is this a man who reflects on his actions and looks back and decides, yes, perhaps I was in the wrong. Maybe I do need to think about what I've done and change. Or is this a man who behaves on impulse and who has learnt nothing? He's gone from attacking his son to, oh my God, actually, I've got away with it, brilliant, I can still get my knighthood. He's living in the moment, and he's very selfish. He's all about him, isn't he? He isn't taking time to reflect on what he has done. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. So you're going to get your revision card, and you are going to write down Arthur Burling on one side, and then on the other side you are going to pick the quotes that you like, the ones that you think you could write something about. You don't need to choose all of them, you can just pick the ones that you want. I would suggest you do at least 4 though. And I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to say bye-bye, and you are going to crack on with making your revision cards. Well done, Year 10, and good luck.